I know it may seem a little early. We're 44 days away from the first college football game, BYU, Utah, but these two guys were looking for something to do.
There's no off season.
There is no off season, especially for you. You're always working on
trying,
motivating people.
Always drawing something up.
Yeah. There's always something going on.
Coaching,
even Frank, I call him. He big times me all the time. There's always something going on with Frank.
Hey,
that's true.
He's the former color commentator of the Stallions.
I know, and that kept you busy. That kept you guys busy.
Full speed ahead.
Former Ute quarterback Frank Dolce. And how many schools do you claim?
I don't know. I mean, I've done the tour in the state of Utah. I worked at Weber. I graduated from Utah.
I think there's a detention center in there somewhere.
Anyway, Riley's here as well. So,
that's a lemma.
We would have had a lemma here, but he's out of the country because one thing a lemma does not do in the summer is work.
Hawaii's in this country.
I don't think he's in Hawaii. I think he's further.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, let's get into this because I got excited yesterday because media days began. I mean, it was Big Sky, but they're all getting fired up. Big 12 media days next week, Pac-12, Mountain West.
It's SEC today, isn't it?
SEC's going on right now, so that means the game's right around the corner. I want to jump right into this, though, with the opening day. BYU and Utah played for the second time in 3 games. But I thought it was interesting. There was everyone likes to talk about the greatest rivalries in America, and one of the articles I saw not long ago placed that one as number 6 in the entire country. What do you guys think of that?
Where does that fit in the entire country?
Best rivalries, college
Utah
football.
BYU rivalry.
Number 6.
I think it's a great rivalry locally. It just doesn't. To me, it doesn't garner the national attention of some
like Alabama Auburn.
Or USC Notre Dame or Ohio State Michigan. I mean, I would put all of those rivalries ahead of this one.
So 6 is pretty good.
6 is pretty good in terms of the intensity of the rivalry, especially outside of the field of play. Maybe this rivalry creeps up a few more notches.
Well, and there's the element of the religion factor.
It's pretty ugly, and then there's that as well.
Don't you think that it just doesn't have the national appeal maybe because of geography? I mean, some of those more traditional ones were way back when, and really, to be honest with you, BYU-Utah rivalry is a little bit newer. I mean, when my parents were growing up, the Thanksgiving game was Utah State way back in the day. So it's fairly new. It's a great rivalry, and I get a little bit upset when everybody gets upset about all the back and forth. I mean, you have to understand.
I love it.
I went to Cottonwood High School. Nobody thought I was a rival. Okay? I went to
You were just lucky to get on the schedule.
I went to Snow College. It's a great program. It's an unbelievable program. But Ricks and Dixie thought they were the rival. And then I played at Utah State. And it was BYU-Utah. So you should be grateful for a rival. Like, it's great to have a rivalry. And as far as, there's some people going back and forth, and there's trolls on Twitter, but it's fun. I mean, everybody relax a little bit. It's not that big of a deal.
I don't know how you turned that into
a personal thing.
Feeling bad for him.
Yeah, now we all for not having a
rivalry. I'm not trying to say feel bad for me. What I'm trying to say is enjoy it. It should be number 6, and it's really fun. Everybody gets all upset about the little back and forth. I think it's great, and I think it's fun. Enjoy it.
I read another piece today. In fact, it was top 10 upset alerts, and Utah on upset alert to BYU, which, by the way, some lines came out today, and the Utes are already favored in that game by 6, but it was listed as an upset alert already. Doesn't the rivalry itself create that? I mean, how often is the game by more than a few points anyway?
Never. I can't remember a time when it's...
Well, during this current win streak, there's one.
Six or
seven.
seven.
It was the Jay Keeps debacle.
Yeah. So I just think that particular game, so cliche to say throw the records out of the window, but in this one,
in this case, really because they won't have played
the 0-0. Just throw those 0-0 records right out of the window, and
because they don't matter.
But in terms of the rivalry, if you're a Utah fan, or if you follow the University of Utah, I think this is where it fits. I mean, this game should be played up front for the university.
Well, since they're not in the same
for the
league.
University. Yeah, I think it makes much more sense, and I think it's a great way to open up the season, and I think Kalani's doing a great job with that program. Upset doesn't seem so far-fetched to me.
No, and that's because because it's been so close. But I always lean towards Utah in this game right now, especially with Kalani as the head coach, because I just feel like when you get to a rivalry game, the game gets a little bit uglier. There's more turnovers, there's more difficulties, there's some things that happen, and I think Utah's program is designed to win ugly. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, but when they win games, what they do is eliminate more of the negative plays. They hunker down offensively.
Yeah.
They play really good special teams and really good defense, and that's why they win rivalry games. And so that's why some of these things have been close. I think Kyle does a great job of preparing his team to win rivalry games because of their style of play.
How long has Coach Whittingham been at the U now?
Oh, since the mid-90s.
Since the So I think that's a great
Fred's
tagline.
linebacker
Winning
coach.
ugly since the mid-90s.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Well,
I think that's the nature of Utah's program.
And
there was this one little period of Urban Meyer when it was
flashy.
When it was it was kind of like a Cadillac. And
By the way, one of
like
those games.
a
But wait,
Pontiac.
one of those games was 3-0. So even that was winning ugly.
In the snow,
It was
absolutely.
down at BYU.
So your point is well taken. And by the way, if you're a BYU fan, the game that was just played in November, that was hideous for BYU fans. So again, your point is well taken.
Yeah, I just don't think it's a beautiful game that's played. It's not like this high-scoring, unbelievably clean played game, and I think Utah does a great job of playing that type of football.
And it's set up nicely Thursday night late, 8:15, and in August you want to play as late as you can. So this will be a lot of fun.
When are we gonna get the Utah State rivalry back on the? I'm a huge fan of playing those two games every year.
Mark Harmon says he's
State.
going to do it. We'll see.
Did he?
I hope so. And Utah BYU. I think those games should be on the schedule every year.
Feet to the fire then, because Utah State right now, I can see some of the reasons that it happens, but right now I feel like they deserve to play both teams in state every single year. They're a very, very good program.
You're going to be hard pressed to get
back?
Utah, though, to play BYU and Utah State regularly every year. That wipes out their non-conference
I know,
schedule.
but why can't they say, okay, this is a B game, this is a C game, and we have one A game? I mean, because maybe there's one team that's moving to the C category and one's moving to the B category that still fits in well.
Well, I think
I'm not saying any names.
You're not naming names.
No, I'm not.
If you're a Ute fan, you'd probably rather play one of those teams than Idaho State. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
Right.
I think so too.
Anyway, the Utes, by the way, this year, more things that have started to come out. They're favored in all but 2 games. USC, and I'm not even sure I agree with that.
I don't know that I agree with that.
And at Washington. What do you think of that? I would have it. The USC game's closer to Washington.
USC here or there? I forget.
USC's there. They're both road games.
And Washington. So I would be.
But what a train
I would be more inclined to say Washington at Washington, as I would maybe put Utah as the underdog. I'm not. I mean, USC has all of the athleticism and all of the talent. I'm not sure that coaching staff has done enough with that talent. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that coaching staff doesn't last too long and Urban Meyer is coaching at USC next year.
Oh, there it is.
I think the reason why that kind of stuff happens is because you just look at USC and you go, oh my gosh, they're athletic. They're going to bounce back.
They get all
so
the
even though they had a
recruits.
bad year, they're like, oh, well, they've got to bounce back. And so I think early, what'd you say, 44 days till the season starts? Everybody's going to kind of pick that way. But I think as you get into the season, we're going to see very quickly whether it's still a train wreck and if it's going off the rails or if they're back.
They even had that huge problem with the coach, with Kingsbury coming.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing.
Oh, that was a mess.
Yeah.
I would pick Utah over USC at this point,
I would
and then
too,
maybe
right
waiting to see what USC
Same
does.
here, but I'm just talking about from a national perspective. They're going, oh, USC's got to bounce back. That's what they're thinking.
BYU favored in all games except 4, including, by the way, this is an early line. They're favored by 2 over Utah State. They're not favored in the first 4, and they play that Pac-12 schedule. They play Utah, go to Tennessee, then play USC and Washington. I mean, they're playing the 3 best teams, by the way, in the Pac-12. Well, Oregon, I guess we could throw that in, but they're not playing them. What do you think about that? Let me ask you guys this. What happens if they start 0-4? Now, if you're a knowledgeable fan, you're looking at a heck of a schedule. If that were to happen, BYU fans, I'm not saying that's going to happen. They always manage to win one of these. But if it does, what is the fan base thinking? What is the leadership at BYU thinking?
Well, for the first 4 weeks, it would be, doomsday. And then if if this occurred, if they went 0-4, it would be a doomsday scenario, and all we're going to hear about is we need a new coach, and Kalani can't get it done, and we have to do this, and we have to do that, and we don't have enough talent, and whatever it is. And then if he figures out how to string together those next 8 games and win out and get to a decent bowl game, then then all of that would die down. You say, hey, well, there's hope for next year.
Remember,
I don't know that they would go 0-4. I mean,
I agree with you. I'm just throwing out there because think of the years past when they go and they beat Nebraska or they beat Michigan State, and there's just some big wins that a lot of people thought might not have happened.
The hardest thing about BYU's schedule is that they play a front-loaded P5 conference schedule. None of the P5 conferences play a front-loaded P5 conference. They ease into their season, right? And so they play all these tough games, and what I worry about with BYU more than anything is psychologically, how do you handle that as a player? Psychologically, how do you handle that as a coach? If you're 1-3, 0-4, coming out of those 4 games, you've got some injuries. Now you're going into the quote-quote easier part of your season, but mentally you're just like, man, we're just not really one of the big boys, and we really can't play. And then at this point, because of last season, the way that it went, does it come unhinged if it starts that way? Because you have to have some belief early in the season. There has to be some sort of silver lining in those first 4 games that says, hey, we can play. We may not have won this game. There has to be some sort of moral victory that says, hey, we're going to dominate the rest of our schedule.
And let me throw one more fly into the ointment. Here's Zach Wilson, who they've talked a lot about him coming off an injury. Supposedly hasn't thrown a football all summer except in the backyard with his dad.
And I saw that video.
And now,
it's a nice backyard, by the way.
It was a nice backyard.
I was like,
and
yeah,
now
I have
he gets
backyard
to start
envy.
with Utah, Tennessee, USC, Washington, a quarterback who hasn't, thrown the ball much. Hopefully he will in fall camp for BYU fans. You were a quarterback. Both of you were. I don't think you would like to
Both of us have coached him.
Both of you have, right.
How about that?
What's the mindset of that kid going to be like when he hasn't taken that hit yet?
Oh, there's some guys that maybe you'd have a concern about that. And maybe you think, well, he's going to be. That guy is, that guy's he's ready to go. He's a football player. He's ready to go all the time. And I don't know him that well, but I would say that he craves that kind of, being in that kind of position. The ability,
challenge.
That challenge, and I don't see any problem with him stepping right onto the field.
I think he's built for this type of scenario. He's got a certain amount of moxie to him. He's coachable, yet he's got a little swagger to him, and I think he really wants to beat Utah. I think that's a big deal to him.
Yeah, especially after what happened last time.
Yeah, and I think there's a whole bunch of things that kind of play into the way and the style that Zach Wilson plays. He's a good football player, and I know that he hasn't proven it yet because he didn't have the first 5 games of the tough schedule last year, but he's going to make some plays against those teams, and he showed last year that he can make some plays against the University of Utah, and then he showed that he was a freshman sometimes in the University of Utah.
I'm more interested to see how teams manage him now that they have a little bit of film on him, because he was kind of an anomaly when he came in, and the ability especially to use his legs to create offense for BYU. I'm just curious how that plays out in his sophomore.
He's a little better than what I think people anticipated.
Yeah.
All right,
Absolutely.
we got a ton to get to, so we're not going to use it all up yet. You'll be back in about a month. We're going to start the weekly panel. Lemma will be here. Before I let you go, though, really quick, if the Utes had a weakness, and everyone's talking about how great this team is everywhere, where is it?
Well, I wouldn't call it a weakness, but my biggest concern about this team is the front 5 on the offensive side.
I've heard
offensive
that a few
side of the
times.
ball. So we'll see how they do it.
I don't think it's a weakness here either, but what I want to see Tyler Huntley play in an authentic way. Meaning he's not trying to prove he's a passer. He's not trying to prove he's a runner. He's just going with the flow of the game. And I think if he can really do that and kind of come into his own, it becomes a really, really dangerous team. But if he's like he was last year at some points, like, I'm going to show you I'm a pocket passer. Do you know what I mean?
And you know what?
Then I think it becomes unauthentic, and that's not really what he does. Run when you think you should run. Throw when you think you should run. And I think that's where he becomes a really, really dangerous
And a lot of that
quarterback.
may have to do with Andy Ludwig's offense. We'll see where he goes with that. All right, Frank Dolce, Riley Gents, we're going to hear from him all season long. Take a few weeks off, regather, and we'll be back with the football panel sometime in late August. Thanks, guys.